Al Pacino takes home Oscar Gold in a year where he was nominated twice. How could he lose?
Hoo-ah!
Scent of a Woman is up next. Welcome, friends, to the 3324 podcast. Happy Thanksgiving, one and all. If you're listening to us on the day that this episode comes out, it is actually Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
If you're traveling, please be safe. If you're going to see family and friends, enjoy, have a great meal. You know, put the feed bag on, but we're going to accompany you on your trip if we're with you in the car or if you're getting ready. We appreciate it, right, Eric? It's happy Thanksgiving, Eric.
We do. Same to you, my friend. Yeah. So, and yeah, this is a doozy. Nice
and
choice.
After 3 years, we actually have a Thursday on
the actual day. Yes.
Yeah. We should. Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday, so.
Well,
I should correct it. Yeah, we hit every Thanksgiving actually.
I don't think we've actually done a movie though on Thanksgiving. I think we've done
Thanksgiving themed episodes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I think this might be our first movie themed holiday, and
yeah, we need. I think we were talking like what movies take place during Thanksgiving. Yeah. And there are, but this is a unique one.
It is indeed. Yeah,
unique one, and we're thankful for our two guests. And let's start with Mr. Roland Arucci. Happy Thanksgiving, Roland.
Hey, everybody! Happy Thanksgiving to all of you.
Yeah.
So great to have you with us for
wonderful being here
for this film. Now, you had never seen this film.
I had never seen this film.
Okay,
I remember it.
Keep it there. Keep it there. We're gonna get. We'll deal with you in a moment.
Oh man. Oh man.
This is. I guess, Nick. This is what it felt like when you did The Godfather, and I never saw The Godfather. This is how it felt, Nick?
Yeah. Godfather's worse though.
I'm just gonna do an arbitrary cartoon voice.
Yes, Godfather is a worse film. Yeah. You're right.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
Oh,
it's worse that you never saw The Godfather.
Oh, okay. Nick Leshy, happy Thanksgiving. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Every day is Thanksgiving when I am around you all.
Wow. Bold statement.
That is very nice of you, sir.
Is it because the drunk is in your pocket?
Hoo-ah. Pass the cranberry sauce, everyone.
Nick is just he's I guess he's trying to cement that Mr. Thanksgiving moniker. He's trying to get ahead of that and become like Mr. Thanksgiving. Like every day is Thanksgiving. He's going to come out with a whole line of shirts and he'll have posters. He'll have everything. He'll even do a little AI ad for Mr. Thanksgiving.
I would do it. If the price is right, let's do it.
You'll do gobble in a Pacino voice. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. How many times are we going to say that during the show today? We should go every time.
I think we just pick up new sounds that he missed. Hey, Boo Bear!
I've got a few. We've got a few here. So we've got some surprises loaded up. And as if you didn't know already, we're going to be talking about Scent of a Woman, which is a Thanksgiving adjacent film. Thanksgiving plays a very small part in it, but the events that happen.
It's a great scene.
Yeah, the events that happen in this film take place over the Thanksgiving weekend. Mm-hmm. So we thought, this fits into Eric. This fits into our sensibilities of a Thanksgiving film,
of a holiday film. Yes, absolutely.
I don't want to do like Home for the Holidays or like that.
No.
Thanksgiving, and
of course not. No,
we did Miracle on 34th Street last year, which is Thanksgiving adjacent as well because it starts in Thanksgiving. So we kind of tackled a couple of things with that one, but this one
I'm actually really glad because lately, I mean, the last few years, it's like Thanksgiving doesn't even exist anymore. I mean, we're going right from Halloween to Christmas now. There's that blur. It's like the whole month of November doesn't even exist. So it's I think it's important to acknowledge at this time of the year.
Yes,
family and loved ones, and that cannot be undermined, in my opinion.
Right. So we're
going to costumes away. Let's take some time to,
a little bit. and we'll acknowledge the Thanksgiving season. And it's always we always do that every year. You know, even if we do an episode about our favorite foods, we did games. We do stop, and even if we don't have a Thanksgiving film, we have always acknowledged it on our show. So we're gonna, but now we're gonna bring you a bona fide. This movie was not a turkey. Where's my rim shot? Anyway, let's get to the stats.
Before you do that, let me just share with you. I mean, I watched this with the fam, you know, because we're doing we do the whole month of October. We would do horror movies. You know, we all picked some horror movies we all watched together, so they all came over. This was one of my holiday picks because, you know, I told them we were doing it. And I got a few for those who hadn't seen, like my daughter and my daughter-in-law, got a few raised eyebrows just from the title.
Really?
Yeah. So they were kind of like, what is that? What does that mean? And I'm like, just relax.
It's not about hunting women.
Right. Yeah. So I had to convince them to, you know, because they were very unsure, a little scared. But
you're not ever going to steer your family wrong anyway.
No, but they loved it. Yeah, they were all in tears by the end of it. So yeah.
Let's get to the stats so we can get on with this, and then we're gonna put Roland on the hot seat just for a little bit.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, we have to just a little, just a light Thanksgiving roasting.
Sure.
Little basting,
like the marshmallows on the.
Okay, you guys, you know where my mind goes. Never say basting. Never say marshmallows.
That's why we're taunting you, man. We're basting.
I'm going to cross lines, and I think I already did. But
that's why we do this. That's why we do this to you. We tee them up for you. But in the meantime, this was released in December of 1992, apropos to Thanksgiving, directed by Martin Brest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you,
man.
He's here all night, folks. That was a good one, though. I didn't see that one coming.
Neither did I until I just saw it. All this stuff, none of this stuff is rarely prepared. Anyway, written by Bold Goldman, based on a 1974 novel. It was an Italian novel, Il Bue e il Miele, or something like that. And then I believe, Roland, do you know that there was actually a film of this too, of that novel? I think from 74.
I read about it somewhere that there was another film. It was a little different.
Giancarlo Giannini or somebody was in it.
Yeah.
But so this was adapted from that. $31 million budget, $134 million box office. So this was a big film, especially for something that is a dramatic film. Not a lot of there's no action pieces and no big set pieces. Nominated for 4 Oscars: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Screenplay from previously published material. And Al Pacino won. And as I said in the open, he was a double nominee this year. He was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor for his work in Glengarry Glen Ross. So if you get nominated twice, you got to walk home. You better walk home with something.
Yeah.
Besides your hands in your pocket.
Was this his... Did he win anything before that? Sea of Love? Did he do it? I mean, I'm trying to remember.
No, he was
nominated. He didn't get any.
He was nominated for what? Godfather and
but he didn't win. Like that was like
never won.
Yeah.
All right, now I do want to frame this, and especially, you know, it'll be interesting because Roland had never seen this film, and it's easy now. It's easy to watch this film now, and Roland, you can kind of give us your first blush on this, as this is where the whole Pacino thing started.
Yeah.
Right. And it's easy for us to watch it now. But again, when I try and watch some of these films, I try and put that aside and try and take this from where he was in 1992. He had, you know, the broadest film he had done, which was Scarface, which was 83. And it was kind of like a one-off. And it was actually wasn't that huge when it came out. It became a cult film. But then he had done Sea of Love, and he had done a lot of minor, you know, smaller films. And then he comes out with this bigger film. So Roland, when you watch this, since it was your first time, were you like in the big Al Pacino mode, expecting? Because I'm sure you've seen, you know, the quotes, and I'm sure you've seen some scenes.
Yeah, I've seen the quotes, and it was the first thing I thought was, once he really got into his dialogue, I was like, oh, this is what they imitate. You know, and I was like, how do you feel about being imitated literally or defined by one character choice for the rest of your life? And that's as I was watching it, I was thinking that like the Bill Hader impersonations, those are the ones that really are the most vivid to me because they're probably the most recent.
Yeah.
But and probably the most spot on. And,
yeah. I mean, between this and Glengarry in the same year, that was another kind of big role, like another broad performance, right, Nick? And that would kind of set him on the path, because then we saw Heat, and we you know, then there became that Pacino mold or that Pacino style of acting that kind of started here.
He always had hints of that, you know. And Justice for All, he's got the courtroom scene. You know, he's had moments like that to explode, but I could just totally see him looking at the script when he got it and being like, I gotta do this. This is me. And then you said like that kind of became his defining. He did it so well in this one. In other ones, you know, I think sometimes he can overact and do other things. But you know, this was it. This was like brought him back to a whole new generation. You know, people who hadn't seen him in the 70s or thought maybe he was washed up, and this was it. This put him back on the map, I think, more than any other film he did during that period.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because like I said, he was certainly toiling away. I mean, he had done Godfather 3 just before this, which was to mixed reactions. It wasn't what people expected from a Godfather film. Certainly not. Eric, when you watched this and when you sat down, you said you sat down with your family. Again, you know, I tried to approach it by pretending Heat and all these other big performances didn't happen, and trying to zero in on just watching this and taking it as it was, and not bringing the baggage that it's had in the past 30 years with it.
Yeah. It's been a while since I had seen it. So it was, first of all, it was a pleasure to see it again in that sense. But I mean, but like Nick and Roland were saying, it's like, I try to, I agree. I put myself in that mold where I'm looking at the character and where he was coming from with that. And the performance lent itself to this particular character who is so broken and so, you know, down and just, but putting on that bravado, you can't help but just project that. It's almost like he's putting up that wall and just treating everybody like dirt and screaming at, just at a turn. So I think it worked quite well for this film. Whereas, like Nick was saying, there's a few other choices that he made, same type of performance, but not exactly necessary for, some of the other roles that he was doing. But
I think once filmmakers or screenwriters got it, they're like, oh, we can now kind of put that in. Just kind of like when Barry Gibb discovered he could sing falsetto in the Bee Gees, then all of a sudden they use falsetto all the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like every song became with the falsetto. So I think this was the same thing. It's like, oh, Al Pacino kind of goes crazy, so we can kind of.
Yeah,
but wasn't that
you could see that? Yeah, in like Any Given Sunday, in Devil's Advocate, there's that scene that you could see that the writer didn't do it, genuinely. It was like they knew Pacino was going to do that role, so we got to give him that big moment.
Yeah, we could just elevate. We could just let him elevate the material to that level, no matter what. He's an absentee landlord, like
exactly.
But yeah, I totally get that. Let's go through the cast, and then we'll kind of dig in, and we'll go from there. So, of course, we have Al Pacino as Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade, or Foghorn Leghorn, perhaps. A little bit of Roland. A little bit of Foghorn Leghorn in there. I say, boy.
Yeah, that definitely. Let's go through it. And we can dig into this Leghorn thing. I don't
Chris O'Donnell in an early role is Charlie Sims. James Rebhorn. I love James Rebhorn. He used to be on The Guiding Light. My mother used to watch The Guiding Light every day.
Mm-hmm.
He played a rapist. Like he was a real bag. Yeah, he raped his daughter or something. Again, in soap operas, it's kind of like they always went there. So I knew James Rebhorn from like the early 80s when my mother would watch The Guiding Light. But anyway, he's a great character actor. Gabrielle Anwar as Donna of Small Singles. PSH, Philip Seymour Hoffman in a very early role. as George Willis Jr. Paul Thomas Anderson credits this film to see that I saw him in this film, and then they would collaborate, Boogie Nights, Master, a whole bunch of other films. I think those are the, Richard Venture as W.R. Willie Slade. I think that's, he's a character actor. I looked up his filmography, and he was working since forever. We get the classic line like,
Bye, Willie. I'm no fucking good, and I never have been.
Mm-hmm.
Great line.
Thanksgiving, and his brother
cat to that whole scene, because that was a nearly perfect scene.
His brother just kind of takes he gets so angry with him, but then he looks always so sympathetic towards him because he knows. And Bradley Whitford, another early role for Bradley Whitford as Randy. Is that what you do, Frank? You gonna rank on people? Ron Eldard, who's another favorite of mine. He's a New York actor. He was in Sleepers. He kind of should have had a bigger career than he did. He was the cop that pulls over when they're driving the Lamborghini or the Ferrari. And June Squibb, who is still acting. She's like 94 or 95. She was just in that movie Thelma.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that was a great movie too.
Which came out in 2024, and she was the Mrs. Hunsacker. She's like the administrator of the students. And when I was watching, I'm like, is that June Squibb? And then I looked it up, and God bless her, she's in her mid 90s and still like doing leading roles too. So
that's incredible. Frances
Conroy in a very small role. She would be known for 6 Feet Under in a few years in the 90s. That would kind of come on HBO.
Yeah,
as Miss Downs. So. Roland, what did you think of this film then? Because you've seen like I said, you've seen like the broad impressions, and you saw all that. So, and it is an aspect of the film, but there's so much more to it. The guy, he's a character in it, Pacino as Slade, but there's a reason why he is. There's a reason why he is the way he is. Let's put it that way.
No, I got that by the end. I'll be honest with you. It's like the first half for me sort of becomes it's almost like stays in like trying to find the character, and it's not like really defined yet. And by the second half of the film, I actually get a lot more out of it. And maybe that's just the script the way it is, and more is revealed about his suffering.
I think I agree. It's by design. I think that's
So and maybe that it could be by design. I thought and again by design, and maybe again the directing, the script, about how they sort of like melded together. I think Chris O'Donnell was. I thought they both like sort of evolved into friendship, and I thought that was interesting by the end. So I did appreciate that. At first, I'll tell you, it was a little over the top and grating for me. I was like, God damn, because I couldn't detach from the caricature and the impressions of Pacino. So
it's hard.
And Chris O'Donnell has weird earlobes, and it freaks me out because he doesn't have any.
Okay.
It literally,
we know that Roland got distracted during the film and started looking around and looking at other things.
Yeah. No, I have a thing. His earlobes bother me. Okay. Look at his earlobes. He has none. It goes straight through his neck. He's like a Star Trek character. Some people has no earlobe.
Some people are lobeless.
Yeah, he is lobeless. But by the end, I felt something. In the scene of the hotel, right at I guess where they totally bond, where they don't give up on each other, where they become friends. I think is I don't want to give too much away because
we can.
They're in the suicide scene where they battle, and that's probably the strongest scene for me. And that was the most honest scene for me between those two characters. That was the most honest, even when I thought with the acting. Was the most honest. They were allowed to get really, really honest at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and again, maybe it's by design. He was playing a blind guy. And I know he did a lot of work to try and emulate what he saw. And I think Chris O'Donnell's character was really trying to emulate somebody who's never been that close to somebody like that, and trying not to be disrespectful. So there's this constant distance I felt. And again, like Eric was saying, that's probably by design. So kudos to the director, because it came across that they didn't really know each other. It's probably one of the few movies, looking back, where I didn't feel the characters already knew each other. Where they didn't feel fresh, they didn't know each other. Yeah.
There wasn't this immediate thing.
Right, because it
just
made a click. Where most movies is always directed where there's a click and they're best friends forever. It doesn't matter if they're one guy in prison, one guy's an alien. It doesn't matter. They're like best friends forever.
Yeah, there was
and here it didn't feel that.
Yeah, a level of discomfort, Nick, between the two characters throughout, which I think goes to what Roland is saying, is it's hard to kind of latch on because the Al Pacino character is so strong.
Yeah,
and we're being told this is the way he is, and he is that way, but we don't really understand. And part of it is because it's the way he is, but then he's been amplified. And you see in the beginning of the film, basically Chris O'Donnell's character gets into he witnesses something at the school. He goes to a prep school, pre-college. He witnesses some vandalism, and basically, he's kind of put up against it of, hey, listen, the James Rebhorn is like, listen, I can kind of rubber stamp you and put you to, move you through to your career if you help me identify these people, basically, if you snitch. So he's kind of in a quandary. And then in the meantime, he's not from a family of means. So he's staying nearby to get a job to kind of help pay for things. And where we need someone to take care of this person, and which is Al Pacino. And you see, they keep him like he is separated from the family, right? He is when Chris O'Donnell goes to meet them for the first time, he's in like this back, like little ramshackle kind of back, almost like a barn or or a very small cottage thing, like that. They're visually giving you how he removed is how this family really doesn't want a lot to do with him. They're kind of placating him by keeping him with them. But
did you get that though?
Yeah,
I got that it's self-inflicted though. Like it's like I think the daughter really tries, and it's like he's not as bad. His bark is worse than his bite, and they invite him to go with it, but he doesn't want to go.
I'm going to disagree with you on one point. Yeah, okay. I'm going to disagree with you on one point because the little kids make fun of.
Sticking out the tongue and
about how he needs a walker. Yeah. That means those things were discussed in the house. Yeah. That means that the parents actually discussed it, and it's okay to joke about it.
Good point.
I mean, that's how I read it. So I kind of disagree.
It's clear that the family, you flash forward to the Thanksgiving dinner scene, and it's the family. I mean, they don't want nothing to do with him. They're all kind of like, because of his whatever it was he did, which was that's revealed. A little bit more is revealed throughout that. And then by the end, when he's addressing the school, there's a lot revealed there as well. In the simple line where he says, I've been around, and that's when he starts talking about kids getting killed under his command and all this kind of. So it's clearly a PTSD situation here. Oh. That's what's really going on here, which is really even at that time wasn't really addressed in films and this kind of thing. So yeah, he's a very broken man, even before he started getting reckless and did the thing with the grenade because he was drunk, because he was drinking. So clearly he was traumatized by his wartime efforts and things like that. So that is heartbreaking, but I think it's just because he's so aggressive to the family that they're just they don't know how to deal with him. And the girl, and is it his daughter or is it his niece?
No, it's his niece. It was Uncle Frank.
Yeah. Has a good heart. Clearly she's trying, but then again, they really couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. Just to get out, just to get away from him for some time,
No one else will talk to him.
Yeah.
He's got a good heart and they're the ones to take it. But I definitely felt like there was. And again, this is stuff that's all subtext of, the family probably does make fun of him or say stuff about him.
Yeah.
And he's in the cottage in the back. He's in the back house, the summer cottage in the house and the property. He's living off his pension. They're all sort of, and that comes around at the end where he embraces them. He calls them over at the end, that's a very interesting piece where the kid's sort of like, hey, he's not that bad. We're just repeating what we heard. Yeah. That's why also I think that stuff was like sort of allowed. The only thing with the beginning setup is I felt it with the O'Donnell, with Chris O'Donnell's character. I'm on financial aid. I have no money to get home. I think that's like a very tropey sort of thing from the 80s, where whenever there's a good guy, he's always the one with financial aid. He's always got the roughest thing in the world. He can't afford food
from the other side of the tracks.
Jobs. Yeah. I didn't know if I needed all of that backstory. To hey, I didn't. I didn't get financial aid. I still tried to get a job in college because I wasn't rich. I mean, I didn't need to go that deep. Like I was the kid who went to the office and looked for jobs.
Yeah. Well, but it kind of establishes the fact that there needed a reason for him not to go home for the Thanksgiving weekend, so that he would
and leverage for him to rat on his friends, because it's like, in the beginning there's that scene where I put one special student on the list and your name is on the list. So if you,
I think it could have been more interesting. I just think it could have been more interesting.
Yeah.
So if they dug a little deeper, it could have been more interesting.
I think it was a simple movies. I think it was a simple plot device to just kind of.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I just seen this so often.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh, this one again. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole class warfare, his friends, he's from the other side of the tracks. The friends are going on the ski weekend. Daddy's going to take care of it.
And it just, and I get it. And I've actually known people like that. Yeah. So it's kind of like, like I grew up in a very wealthy area, but I was not the wealthy kid. So my father was a super. Yeah. So there are ways to do it besides saying one of them was super. I didn't get any of that. Meanwhile, I know a kid who was poor and he got a Lear jet flight home one time. I'm like, really? You dated the right girl?
Yeah, that's it.
That's what happened. See, I got flown in.
Who you hang out with? Yeah. There's one of the great. There's so many quotable lines, and the whole end monologue obviously is very quotable. But there's a small one that he threw in the beginning when he meets Charlie and the family is trying to get, like I said, they're trying to get out of, like, they're trying to leave and go on the vacation. And Pacino's like, it's almost 3 and the goddamn Flintstones haven't left yet.
Yeah.
Like, he's got no regard either for
there are walls on both directions.
It's mutual. Yeah. It's a mutual thing.
Yeah.
He thinks the kids are twits, they're the kids. He has got no regard for even the little children. Like, oh, they're not smart either. Yeah. So there is that, that
I think it really plays on the character's sense of abandonment. He lost his sight. He lost his senses. He feels useless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a person who, and the cause of it was a horrific accident. That was on him. Again, PTSD, and how do you self-medicate to get through that? So I think a lot of it was, and that again, when you look back, I always have my knee-jerk reactions usually by the end after talking to you guys, and I really discuss something. I find stuff in films that I didn't think about or just sort of sat with me. But you can see it probably is what Eric was saying is probably by design, where you're showing all these little tidbits of the character, and there's more of a character development than probably most films of that era.
Yeah.
At the end, I think the arc is it's organic. It feels organic, which is rare.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't oversimplify. I mean, there was some sexuality in it, but not over the top, which I also appreciated. I didn't need it. It was about 2 people and this guy sort of adopting a son, essentially, and that guy adopting, and Chris O'Donnell's character adopting a dad.
Yeah, surrogate families.
Right. So they're both abandoned individuals, and they sort of coming together saying, well, I will fill this role and you will fill that role. And that sort of makes them whole to see the world a little better.
Yeah, and it almost, there is, Al Pacino's character has a mission. He, as soon as that family left, there was a whole other set of things that happened that Al Pacino had planned. All of a sudden he's getting picked up. We're flying down to New York City. So there was already, Pacino had a final mission that he was going to accomplish.
Yeah.
He just didn't figure that Charlie would figure so heavily into it, right? His mission was, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to, have a good steak, drink some wine, make love to a woman, and then kill myself.
Yeah.
Right. That was his stated purpose to go down there. But then I think as time went on, I think the mission altered, because then he also says, well, I'm going to Charlie, I'm going to show you what it's like to, some of the fun, because there is that part of the character that knows what it's like to sit in a fine restaurant, and he knows how to act. He doesn't when he's in the restaurant and he's not acting a fool. He knows how to order food, and he knows who to, talk to this person and tell them I'm here, and, they know me. And so he knows how to interact with people. He can do it. He's not totally,
I think he also wanted to show that he was a somebody.
Yeah. And he knows how to talk
where
to
he
women.
was. He felt like a nobody.
Yeah.
Well, he always commanded great respect, right? I mean, probably being a military man.
That environment, right?
And Charlie, at that point, I think everybody had given up on him.
Yeah.
You know, the family probably tried, and you know, he just just everything was pushing away, and Charlie was pretty much the only person that stood up to him.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what really brought him out, you know. But if you notice, there's three separate scenes where each character in those scenes sees something in Frank that perhaps he doesn't see in himself. It's Donna when she's dancing with him. She's charmed by him, you know. And then you have the cop. You know, he comes in and he's like, you know, your father looks pretty good there, Charlie. He knows he knows he's fucking blind. He knows he's not supposed to, you know, he's not stupid,
exactly.
you know. So, but he sees again the respect there, the factor there, and then of course Charlie in the hotel room, who just just really kind of just stands up to him, you know, when he's putting a gun to his head and just
I won't leave. He's like, I will not leave.
Yeah,
this is not part of the deal. I will not leave.
Right.
Yeah. And one of the through lines throughout the film too is, you know, Charlie, you know, Chris O'Donnell's character having to call back, you know, he's trying to get in touch with Philip Seymour Hoffman because, you know, they're going to come up with a strategy because of what happened with the vandalism. There's going to be this kind of hearing, for lack of a better term. They're going to kind of gather the whole school together, and he's trying to figure out what the strategy is going to be. And throughout, you know, he plays it close to the vest, and he lets out a little bit each time to Al Pacino. And Al Pacino, what does Al Pacino say, Nick? He says, just take the easy way out because you want to get, you want that ticket to Yale. He kept saying that specifically, like, just do what you got to do. Like because he basically lost faith, right? In like there's no ethical people anymore. There's no one that's got integrity anymore. So you might as well just do it. Save your hide, right? It was kind of
right.
More than once he's saying that.
He's worldly in a way, like, he's seen the world. He's very jaded. He's very cynical. But so right away from the beginning, he gets the hint. Like, he's like, "What do you think that they're gonna stand up to you and help you out?" It's like they're gonna cover their own ass. The dad, he knows exactly what the dad is gonna tell him to do. So, but yeah, it's kind of really interesting. And I think what you all were mentioning about the just the things that people see in Frank, like all this talent he has, and so it was more than just the blindness, I think, that made him this bitter, angry. There's like, he kept saying, I'm not a good guy, I'm a bad guy. Like, so it's like, I think the blindness just added to it, So seeing this movie nowadays, it's like, I wish I'd seen it now for the first time too, just to see, but because like back then it's like, I was so caught up in all the hyperbole and that big action stuff. I was missing some of that interaction between Charlie and Frank that I'm seeing now. So there's a lot of subtext there. Yeah. Especially Charlie. Some of the quiet moments when he's just looking at Frank. So give Chris O'Donnell credit, for his acting chops in this one too.
And Frank knows it. He knows he's fucking looking. Yep. Stop looking. Stop looking at me. Like he's like he knows. Like he senses it.
No, definitely. There's a lot there, and there's a lot of foreshadowing in the script, which I found interesting too. Like you said, Frank's character knowing exactly what was going to happen at the end. There's no surprises. It's all character development, and that's like a gift to the audience. You don't have to think about what's going to happen. He kind of lays it out. Even his niece saying, "Trust me, you'll be best friends by Sunday." They were best friends by Sunday, right? So you have these little things, like this is what's going to happen. Don't even think about it. Just watch it.
But Roland, I think she was being a used car salesman because she was selling it so hard. Like, she just
wanted to leave.
He is that bad. He was abrasive.
He was absolutely.
After their first meeting, he goes back upstairs and he goes, I think I failed the interview. She goes, "No, you got the job. It
doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just and then I get it, but I'm talking about like the script and the storytelling.
Yeah,
how they gave you all these lines, sort of to tell you this is what's going to happen. Just worry about how we get there.
Yeah,
just don't worry about the ending. This will be the ending. You
already you get another one like this.
So I think that was kind of interesting.
Is that what you do? Yeah. Don't you sharpshoot me.
And then we have all the woozah,
all that great lines. This is just great lines.
Yeah, it's
so many.
But aside from all the the hoo-ahs, there is that nuance there, of this guy who's a broken man, and and Roland, you said it in the beginning too with Chris O'Donnell's character. I think he got better even just as an actor as the film went on too. I think he might have been a little bit out of his depth as well. Just from an acting standpoint, he was really playing up the kind of guy from the cornfields type thing. But I think as time went on, I think he got a little better as well, Nick. I think his character kind of got a little stronger. I think he was very weak and very timid and kind of a little too mousy.
Yeah. And I always kind of felt a little bitter towards Chris O'Donnell because I was one of the folks who went to the open call audition to play Robin for and he got but who could deny those baby blues? I mean, he was just like, but he, like you said, he went toe to toe with Pacino acting in that scene in the hotel, the suicide thing, those tears coming down his face. I mean, it was like,
yeah,
he's playing a scene with Al Pacino, one of the greatest actors of all time, and he held his own, and I think that was very genuine and really, great performance by Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, it was good stuff. And Eric, I said earlier how Pacino kept saying to Charlie, save your own skin, right? Don't just worry about yourself. If you need to rat, you need to rat. And during the Thanksgiving scene, when they're all at the table and things are very, very, it's one of the most uncomfortable scenes to watch on film because it's just not. The tension is so thick. But Bradley Whitford's character, Randy, he's detailing about the whole grenade thing and how he lost his sight. And he says something very important. It's very throwaway, but I think it leads us to understand why Pacino is saying to Chris O'Donnell's character what he's saying, because he's talking about, he's decided to pull the pins out of the grenade, do a juggling act. But then he says that he denied pulling the pin. He denied doing it. It's a very small throwaway line, which leads me to believe that Pacino was one of those people with no integrity. Like it's obviously what he did, but he denied it, right? He was denying it because he was drunk and he was just drunk. And so he was one of those people, right? Because he says it towards the end, I've been at the crossroads and I didn't do it because it was too hard. And it's directly addressed in the Thanksgiving scene where he's like, he denied that he even pulled the pins, because he took the coward's way out, because it would have been harder to admit that you were drunk and admit what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
To have his nephew point that out to him.
Yeah.
Obviously led to, so he knows what he did. He's sure. I mean, and he's got to live with it, but he's not living with it the guy wants to fucking commit suicide. So, I mean, it's the lowest of the low. I mean, you can't go any further than that. I mean, it's just, but yeah, you're right. I actually didn't notice that. Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out, but that's a good observation.
Yeah. Now, do you think, Nick, during the Thanksgiving scene, and Roland, you could jump in on this too. Do you think that he was trying to, because it was an unannounced appearance at the Thanksgiving dinner. So do you think he was trying to alienate because he knew his plan was to kill himself? Was he just trying to make it? Do you think in a weird way he was trying to make it easier for his family by just alienating them and making them really just hate
so
him?
you don't need to worry about seeing him ever again.
So when he does it, it's easy for them to be like, you know what? And then we get
good riddance, right? Maybe.
Yeah, then we get.
But I think, this was all part of his little bucket list of things he needed to do this weekend because he knew he was gone. He was gonna he's gonna eat the finest food, drink smoke those cigars, and see his family for the last time on Thanksgiving unannounced. And I think he's had these moments before because they're all they know they're all upset to see him. They're like. When he does those crude things. So all that crude behavior and the vulgar language and all the things he brings up. Yeah, I think he's putting it on thick because like you said, this is the last time, say his goodbyes. And then, I think they touched him a little bit. They brought out his pain a little bit more. And that line at the end when he's like, I'm no good, I think that's what he's trying to say. It's like, this is who I am,
You think it was self-validation?
But they saw the sympathy. I think seeing the brother is still sympathetic towards him. They still love him in a way. They feel sorry for him. And, and I think he sees that in their eyes. And then he's like,
And he's telling,
I'm sorry.
And he keeps telling the nephew, stop it.
Yeah.
Be quiet, Randy. Don't push. Don't,
Do you think he's still self-validating the character, or Frank was self-validating why he should go? Not necessarily push them away or lay it on thick, but to himself, convince himself
good point.
he needs to go.
Yeah.
Right. They don't love me. He almost literally almost punched his nephew in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet actively dismissing his his nephew's wife's name, actively being vulgar to them, being disrespectful,
and then getting angry when they call him Chucky, right? Because that's what he did at first. But yeah, you're right. The interplay, like he's messing up their names too, you know.
And you see that he's I think that was a self-validation moment to Charlie. Say, hey, this is what made me broken too. Not just the blindness, not just the accident. There's a lot of stuff that made me.
There's more than just him being blind that made him what he is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
I think, and to him, because of the suicide, this is why I'm going. Doesn't matter if I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're having a dinner. They never invite me. They don't want me here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Because I specifically wrote in my notes, Frank is surrounded by people that don't like him. Yeah. So he's got no hope for humanity. He's like, well, this is the way people are. Like, even though I'm insufferable, right? Because we get down to that scene towards the end where he's like, yeah, what do I do good, or what's good about me? And that's when Charlie says, you dance good, and I've never seen a person drive a Ferrari like you. Frank is just surrounded with people that don't want, even his nieces and nephews or don't want anything to do with him. He's in a house, that he lives with his family, but not with them. He resides in the same space as them, and he's not in the same house, right? He sits alone in the dark, and he drinks. So, and again, he's abrasive, but I think probably the character began to lean into that as people started to kind of move away from him or were turned off. He just kind of, well, this is, I may as well just, this is the relationship we have. So I'm going to be as uncomfortable as possible and just be that way on purpose, right? And that's where we get,
I'm no fucking good, and I never have been.
Right, and and the way his brother looks at him, he's like, God, he goes, his brother kind of looks like longingly, like I wish it could have been different, or why, if you're like this, and why are you like, if you're saying you're like this, then why are you continuing?
It's almost like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
You're almost looking at him like, what happened to you? Like, this could have been you too. A house full of kids. What happened? Like that's the vibe I got. He was like, what the hell happened to my brother? Is he my brother? At that point.
And he had nothing but good things to say about his brother when he introduced him. W.R. Slade is the best, like everybody else he was fucking with.
Yeah.
His brother, he didn't fuck with his brother. He introduced him straight on and just kind of, that respect for his brother that he still has, a very uncomfortable scene, but then followed by that breakdown and probably the realization that scene probably made Pacino's character realize that, there's nothing, I can't even interact. I can't even help myself and just interact as a normal person anymore. So really, what am I? Like, he understands that he's like, I can't even just have a normal relationship without saying stupid shit or being an asshole, because when he's not with his family, like I said, he's very he's respectful. When he talks about women, he's very respectful about this, about their perfume and how he loves women, and when he's talking about wine or he's talking about drink or food, he is a well-learned and well-read man. He just chooses to be vulgar, and he chooses, this other, these other side of his personality.
Yeah, I think he's just, it's a self-prophecy. I'm a piece of shit, so this is what I deserve in some way, even though he's not. He's probably not, or he doesn't want to allow that side of him to be seen until the end, where, like I said, like I said before, you have that wonderful scene with the kids, and he's a totally different character. His stance is different.
Changed.
His walk is different. Everything about him is kind of different than when you first, see him in a scene. He's approachable, and he's doing the approaching now. Yeah. Whereas before, everybody ran away from him. But now he's like, nope, I'm going to approach you.
Going up.
I'm going to speak to you.
But not so complete, though. Not so much that it's like he's completely changed.
No.
Even like I said before, like when he's right in the middle of his monologue, at the end, it's like he pauses, and then there's a little bit of a doubt there. There's, like, I've been around, his voice is shaking a little bit. He starts talking about
I don't think it's a
people
change.
Getting killed under his command and things.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
That,
but I think now he's willing to do half the work to get to the middle.
Yeah.
I don't think he's not going to do all the work. He's willing to do half the work. And I think he understands that.
I think he found what he found was Charlie he represented hope. He represented somebody, here's a human being that has integrity again, that actually gives a shit. So that was inspiring to him. I think that was a little bit of a spark there.
I think he found somebody he could inspire.
Now there's somebody that, now there's something to live for.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think before he had nobody to learn from him. And I felt the Charlie was the character that could now learn from him. Yeah. And that gave him cause also. Being a military man, I mean, I've never been in the military, but I assume it's a
different. I would imagine it's a different mindset. You're so and if he's indeed an officer and he was giving orders and but guys, young kids younger than Charlie, probably even sending them off to their deaths or whatever, had to have took its toll. Maybe, I don't know. We don't really know the specifics of that.
Mentoring too. I think it's a culture of mentoring, and I think he needed that. I think he needed that as somebody who's going to listen to him.
The loss of respect, the loss
someone who's genuine, someone who's pure and genuine. Nick, before I kick it over to you, I want to kick this over to you. There's actually a pretty important scene before that final scene, which is the Ferrari scene or Lamborghini. Was it Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Ferrari.
Because two things happen in it, right? When he talks to the car dealer. And the car dealer says,
"What a great scene that is, right? Isn't that amazing?"
And that actor from Rocky 2, he's so good. The commercial, the agent.
The car dealer says, they keep me around. I'm the gray ghost, like I'm a vestige of what was. And Pacino says, I'm the gray ghost also, meaning like I'm just kind of here. Like I don't really serve a purpose. I'm kind of here. And then after the scene with the cop, right? Chris O'Donnell says, you are definitely not driving anymore. And he gets out of the car and he goes, I'm not driving anymore.
Yeah, he knew that was the last time.
Like everything's out. There's no control. I don't have control over anything in my life anymore. So it kind of reaffirmed what he needed to do, right? It was kind of like there was that one glimpse of when Pacino was laying in bed. He's like, let's go for a ride. And then they did it. And then it came sync as much elation there was from the driving,
which was a lot. That was a great scene.
Yeah, it goes, you're definitely not driving anymore. And then he said to himself, I'm not driving anymore, which means he kind of like,
just seeing him collapse, slam, crossing the street, not caring if he gets hit by the car, slam, falling on the trash can, and just it was you could see he was the lowest of the low after But there's so many good scenes there. And you were talking about the military. I think that's important too for this character, because there's that scene with the salute, which I love. Yeah. Like that was the only time that really Charlie kind of was like kind of like, fuck you, man. Like just like, and he sensed the salute. Like he didn't see it because he's blind, but he's like, no, this is how you do a salute, and it's just like,
he heard it,
that discipline. And he heard, that was a great scene, and that he brings that military sense, throughout. You could believe this guy was in the military. That's a great testament to Pacino's acting there. I thought that was really good.
Roland, do you think he was strong enough? Do you think he would, if Charlie wasn't there, do you think he would have went through with ending his life?
Yeah.
Had he gotten to that lowest of the low where?
I think so. Yeah. I think he felt entirely alone, and at that point, it's a weight that you can't bear, and I think he just wanted to revisit one last time his former glory, in his eyes, where he was still whole, where he still commanded moments and owned the moment. And I think without Charlie saying, you don't own every moment now, it's our moment, it's not just yours, which I think that was the scene in the hotel. This is our moment. I'm not leaving you. This is us together, not you alone. You're not alone. Maybe that's subtext, but I think if he was alone, it would have I think he probably would have, in a very sad way, that character would have left.
Yeah, because Charlie was like, I'm just as screwed as you are, so do it. Do both of us, right? Because he's like, when he's got the gun on him, he's just shoot me too, because I got nothing left to lose, because I'm going to be screwed. My life is screwed with this whole school thing with the vandalism. So do both of us. Yeah, why not?
And that's what makes that scene so powerful, because you believe it. You see that he doesn't want to shoot Charlie, but as a viewer, you're like, he could pull that trigger. Like, I believe that he was like so desperate to kill himself that he's like, you're going to stop me, then I'll kill you too. He's like, get out of here. I don't want to do it. And you can see that Charlie's not leaving. So he's like, is he going to kill both of them? Like, the tension there was so great. And it was so believable that you felt so sorry for him. And those tears, they felt real. Like, they felt like I believed it. It wasn't like watching actors, play a scene. It was a great moment. It was a powerful, powerful moment.
It begs the question, though, too. Like, would he have gone on this trip without Charlie?
That I did wonder.
Because Dean, you pointed that out. Like, this was already planned.
Yeah.
Having somebody take him, like, was that part of the plan, or would he have just gone by himself?
Yeah, no, because he said,
but did he need Charlie to prevent him from killing himself? He didn't know somebody. But did he need whoever was going to go with him? I'm saying is like, would they have the integrity to have when he says leave, I have your plane ticket, you can go now. Would anybody else have just gone?
He believed at that point. He believed yes, because he was so full. His life was so full of people that felt that way, right? That there was no integrity.
Yeah,
that there was no. So he figured, this is going to be easy. I'm going to go down, be with a woman, have a thing, and then send this person off, and I'm going to do what I got to do, because that's. But
and that person will milk him dry. And I think that was that was one of the tests where Charlie was not milking him dry. He didn't want to do things. He's like, no, I'll just sit here. That's my job, is to take care of you.
Yeah,
right.
So I think that's where it started, like, chipping away. And just thinking about it, like, the interesting thing is, like, Frank made a bad mistake, lost his eyesight, and that's why he's in trouble. Charlie made a bad mistake because of his eyesight, and that's why he's in trouble.
That's true.
I noticed the irony there too. That didn't escape me either.
That's a brilliant observation. Wow. Yeah.
And
that's great.
And the thing about it too is, Charlie doesn't have all the answers. It's not like Charlie gave nuggets of wisdom to Al Pacino and helped him get through it. It's just no, he kept saying, we'll figure something else out. I don't know what, but we'll figure this. This is not the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but because there was that naivete and that innocence of, we'll I don't know what the answer is, but we'll do something.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So there wasn't this big cathartic thing of him saying something that someone said in the past to him and it came back. Like, there wasn't that machination. It was just kind of, I don't know, but my life
stuck to that
right now too. So let's, if you're going to do it, let's do it together. Otherwise, put it down and just wait. Because he said even. Like, he's like, can you just put it down? You don't have to surrender it. Can you just put it down? Right.
Because at that point, he's got that weight of what's going on at school on his shoulders too. Yeah. So he maybe in that brief moment, he's like, hey, you know what? I got nothing to lose either. Let's go.
I don't have a great home life.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm getting kicked out of school. I'm not going to Yale. So go ahead. We got nothing, and
I guess maybe it ends for me.
Yeah. And maybe with Slade seeing that, Al Pacino seeing, well, you know what? Everybody's got problems.
Yeah. I think it's really important when he saw the we moment that we're in this together.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably one. And again, I think the chipping away of his integrity, he was trying to find that integrity, and he found it little by little with Charlie not taking advantage of him, not using the money to get drunk. No, I don't really drink.
Yeah.
I don't have excesses. He's actually probably more military than what he's used to coming across.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like chipping away and say, yes, stay, because he was comfortable with him now. He didn't push him away because, okay, he's got integrity. I can be comfortable with this person. I can just talk to him. And they were having sort of fun. And I think at the end where it's like, it's us, it's we're together. I think not feeling alone went a long way with Frank.
But then they kind of twisted it a little at the very end after all the speeches were made and they They bring Frank home, and Pacino gets out of the car, and Chris O'Donnell was going to try and say something like sappy, like, "Oh, Colonel," and he just like, "Bye, Charlie," and he like, just like walked right by, like, like, I'm glad we didn't get that, like, "Oh, I'm a changed man." He's like, "Bye, Charlie."
Right. That's the thing, is he's not Ebenezer Scrooge, where suddenly he had this epiphany and now he's a completely changed man. There's still. Yeah, he's nicer to the grandkids, and he's you can see he didn't kill himself, right? But it's not like you don't just flip a switch, you don't just erase all that pain that he's been through. So, but it's still a great moment, and you can see he has changed, but it isn't like a 180,
No, perhaps he'll start letting people in, and like maybe people who want to help him.
Yeah.
Now he'll allow that at least. He goes, "Come by, we'll have some cheer." Like that. That he's welcoming that. That's probably a big step for him to have invited Charlie back to like Christmas time, and and that kind of thing. So I'm glad. I was grateful that it had that kind of an ending, because it wouldn't have been terribly realistic if it.
I didn't need a big crescendo of music and like, oh my God, they really love each other. I didn't need that. But I think the way it ended was true to his character of like, I'm going to move on. This is great. And we'll always be friends.
Yeah.
We will have this. We will always have this. But you have your life, I have my life, but we'll always have this.
Yeah.
So they have a shared world. But him being, I'm going to approach, so people approach me, is a lesson he learned. And I think, the Charlie character saying, I can't be someone that I'm not. And that's imitating rich kids, trying to understand that, why can't I fit in?
Yeah.
I think that all comes in with that character.
This
is who I am. However far it takes me.
Yeah. I don't know if Nick said it, that Pacino, Frank Slade he's half responsible for how things go, so
absolutely.
No, Roland said it. He doesn't have to go all the way, right? He's just got to kind of make the first move, right? He says to what the niece, like, "Oh, make some of that hot cocoa or the marshmallows for me," or whatever. Like, just kind of, trying to thaw the icy relations a little bit, right? Just doing, like you said, doing what he can do on his end, not go over. He's not going to go in the house and start cleaning and doing everything, but realize, because his I guess some of his faith got restored. It was almost like he drank from magical waters, like that kind of like, meaning like he kind of got reinvigorated that, not everybody is horrible or as horrible as I am. Maybe he expects people to be as horrible as he is and as miserable as he is, or at least within his family dynamic, and not people he doesn't know, like waiters and, the limo driver. I mean, he's great with all those people, but he's horrible with everybody else.
He's a commanding presence, and he knows how to, push the right buttons for respect or for friendship. And I think that was also part of the evolution of him, of realizing that again, that he could, with dialogue, with his presence and how he approaches people, he can have a woman dance with him. He can have a waiter, "Yes, sir, we will get that for you." And you can have a driver saying, anytime, you're the best. I don't
Manny. Oh yeah, Manny.
That's great. He's like, "Hey, I had a great time with you guys. This was fun." And those, I think those even like, I don't know what the original script is like, but I've known people who've had experiences like that where they are with somebody and it's a business transaction, be it a driver or something, and all of a sudden, like, bro, this was the best time I had.
Yeah.
Like that felt very real. Whatever it was, this was the best time I had.
You get to know somebody in a span of, what is it, probably like 4 hours they were driving or something like that. And,
get to know somebody, for sure.
Yeah. So, and it's a moment, and then you see all the cowering, especially in the school during the big speech, and all the ratty kids, the real rich, preppy kids, and they're just cowering by the end. They've lost all their power.
Yeah,
they lost all their power in that moment. They became caricatures to the entire school, and they were probably
even Mr. Trask. He like I love the moment where he's like, even then it's like he gets. Pacino just wipes the floor with him, but even then he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go into closed session," and they're like, "No," and he's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Are you sure?
And he's like, he's trying to compose himself, like he gets back to the end.
He's the hired guy.
He's such a sniveling, but he does it so well. That actor.
Oh, he's great. That guy's great. He's one of the best actors.
Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he's
when he drives that Ferrari onto campus, right? Like, and he's just like kind of wiping. You could tell how he loves the materialness of it, and like, it's just no wonder people
put it right under the light,
so everybody can see it and everything's like,
it's a douchebag.
But that's what but from the beginning, so that kind of like, just, and then trying to bribe him, so it's like that kind of thing. It's just like,
But again, this is a man who thinks he's commanding respect,
right?
And the kids don't respect him. So that's a reverse here. But he's relishing in the fact that they don't respect him because he's just. I think he's got
power.
The power.
It reminds me of like the captain in the Kane Mutiny with the strawberries. Like just like he's called this great big like hearing. Because they threw paint on his car, you know what I mean? Like that's what it's all about, and like he's trying to, so it's all about him,
Yeah, all student activities were suspended. All classes were suspended until we find
out who did this.
Yeah,
gathering and
the kids are probably loving it, man. Oh, no classes, fucking A, let's.
It's literally 3 kids on a microphone on the PA system that they can. I'm like, okay, like these kids got into your office, bro. How hard could it be?
Yeah, James Rebhorn played basically the same guy in The Game, right? He was the same character, and in Independence Day, he was
he was
floating, like kind of his bark is much. He has no.
We shouldn't give up on this.
Yeah.
Come on, like
he's a great actor.
When they nuked the aliens, it didn't do anything,
There's great. I think there's really good casting in this film. Not every film has good solid casting.
Yeah. So what?
Did a good job.
Let's remove the final monologue from favorite scenes,
which is a great. It's a great scene.
It is a great scene, but it's the cherry on top.
Right. Yeah, it's been done to death. But I think there's some other subtle nuance scenes, even if those scenes are broader. That's the end is like the big explosion. The end is like the fireworks of his performance. Everything was kind of a lead up to it. Everything was actually relatively sedate until you get to that. Scene. So Nick, what's a favorite scene of yours?
Oh man.
And if you give me a good if you give me a good scene, you're gonna get a
we talked about the Thanksgiving dinner scene. I love that so much. But I have to say that the tango scene, the dance scene, I love that from beginning to end. Like it's just like it's unexpected. And he leans over to Charlie and he's like, just scope it out for me. Like, what is it? Like, how many feet? So just so I know. And then he just dances, and the chemistry with them. And it's supposed to be like he's trying to hook him up with Charlie, but there's chemistry between him and her too. Like you know what I mean? Here's this old guy who's blind, and suddenly he's tangling. The whole place is like applauding him. And then when that schmuck comes back, you're like, why is she going away? I wanted Donna to be back in the movie somewhere, But that's a great scene. That's a great scene.
She was absolutely interested in Pacino more than Charlie. Yeah, she gave that long, like as she's getting dragged away, she like looks behind, like
this guy act like this guy,
Yeah, this guy's such a, oh yeah, that's great. There's someone to dance with you. Like, oh, you. Roland, as the newest viewer. Nick gets a hoo-ah. He gets a big.
All right, there you go.
All right, what do you got, Roland?
I'm a little bit adjacent with this one because he stole my thunder a little bit. But my favorite part is not necessarily the scene, but Pacino's reaction when she walks away and he gets so deflated and you feel this weight on him, just dragging. It's a long moment. It's a really long moment, and you just feel it that he was elevated so high. And then he goes, see, it always gets taken away. And he just feels so deflated. And his face and his moment says so much with no words or very few words. But you get so much from that little bit of moment, that just one cutaway. So it's sort of adjacent, to the dance scene. I love the energy and the chemistry. And you're right. I mean, she was being very flirty. She's obviously, well, to me, she was like in a bad relationship. She was probably more a trophy girlfriend than anything else. And this guy's, let's get out of here. We're going to go somewhere else. And but I think his moment, his reaction of like, she's leaving because these are the guys who always take these girls.
Yep.
Maybe it's a metaphor to the rich kids in the school. I don't know, but it's but his moment of weight landing back on him when he felt so light.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is a very deep moment for me.
And it's you also you brought something else up, another thought, Roland, that he is always good at giving people what they want, though. Like he, like he, she wanted to tango, and my boyfriend ever, you know what? I'll tango with you, and then at the very end with Francis Conroy, right? And Chris O'Donnell now is in the revert. Now Chris O'Donnell is playing the Slade part because he's like, oh, Frank was on Lyndon Johnson's cabinet and stuff. Oh my God, that's great. He goes, well, maybe we'll talk about it. So he, he has that there is that tenderness, and he does know how to treat people. And he wasn't doing it to sleep with her. He had no illusion he was going to, it was more like he kind of enjoys the company of women, right? So he likes to do things for them because it makes them happy, which then makes him happy.
It's romantic. He's probably a romantic deep down, and that's his, I think he is probably a romantic, where he's always like kissing hands and showing his elegant,
charming
approach to people. Yeah, very charming. I think he sees himself that I can be that. Like you say, he's a learned man. He's well read. Yeah. It's actually very difficult to move up in the ranks and not be educated. So I think he constantly battles that. And at the end scene with that woman, there's a moment where he's light. He feels taller. Yeah. You can see it in his presence. He feels, I don't want to say aloof, but it's almost like a bubbly personality at that moment where it's just, yes, it's all spontaneous, and this is how I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's the vibe I get.
Or that he can be that. Yeah, that he can aspire to.
He has the ability to be that.
Yeah,
not all luster.
Yeah, not to give into his darker, because he can go that way too. He can go into that.
And
way.
that appreciation goes very far for him.
Yeah,
and that's what makes me think there's more than just the blindness that's damaged him. Like before that, it's like even if he hadn't gone blind, he still would be this wounded, hurt. Because all the things he can do, all these things he can dance, he could drive a car, he could, it's just that there's this pain that's in him that has nothing to do with his loss of sight.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They never allude
anger, that was there probably before he lost his sight.
They never allude to any woman issues. They never allude to that he was married or a woman broke his heart. Like there's no ever mention of a woman except the fact that he loves women.
Yeah,
and that he basically treats them with respect. Well done, Roland.
Thank you. Hey, I'll take that.
Eric.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that, but
everyone likes it, huh?
Well, but every scene like that, because it happens several times where he's elevated. The car scene, he's elevated. The cop gives him the respect. The night he goes and sleeps with the prostitute.
Yeah.
Right. He goes up into the hotel. He comes down. He's like, but then but then it's over. Right. He's in the, and each time it's like he's deflated a little bit, and that disappointment setting in. So all of those scenes combined, and then of course you get to the Thanksgiving dinner where the hoo-ahs just get that gets me every time. That there's just as the nephew is compounding his faults and all this. I mean, the hoo-ahs just get lighter, progressively lighter and lighter, and like it's almost like whispering.
They're used as a type of speech, just by the way he's inflecting them, and like kind of a little bit lighter or more whispery,
And then when he grabs them,
well
he
done,
tells them that I could kill you, and he's very again. The sight thing is like he's got senses that he's never had. I mean, the fact that he knows this perfume, like all these different scents is something. Says something about him as a probably had a lot of lady lovers in his life, but also just the ability that he's able to do all of these things, including kill a man at this point in time. That got me too. And then of course, when he's leaving, that I break every time when he tells him I'm no fucking good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but it's all of those things leading up to, so it's not a very specific scene, but it's all like the dance scene is marvelous. But every time he is, like Roland was saying, it's just, he knows, like, it's like, okay, we did everything on the bucket list, but now it's done, so that he did everything he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And
except for one thing.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Blows brains out.
Right. Exactly.
Well done. I'm going to go with a not a specific scene also, but a series of little nuanced things that Frank Slade kind of has in his pocket. Like whenever he goes somewhere, he knows he's able to drop names.
Oh yeah.
Go down to 54th and 5th and go to the cigar shop and talk to whatever and tell him it's me. And he knows. And then, when they're trying to get Charlie the beer, go talk to, so-and-so, the maitre d'. He knows who I am. Like he knows how to kind of work. And I guess he probably was a man in a high position. So he, he's still trading on those past glories. Right. But it's kind of fun to see him kind of work people like that, where he's a really smooth talker like that. Again, he's not ever mean to any of these people. He's just kind of, he knows how to work those gears. He knows how to get the Lamborghini guy to let him take the car out. If I come back with 101, get it done.
That's my second favorite scene too, because it's like the dialogue with him and whatever his name is, Freddie. He wasn't going to let the car go. So even if he promised me, he's like, look, I'm going to buy the car tomorrow. It was at the end when he was like, he
gave him the money.
I'm like you. I'm a
great ghost.
The great ghost, I think, was fine. Like he saw this was for him too. It wasn't just for the kid. It was
take the money because you're probably not selling the cars like you used to. But I'm going to get here's $2,000 and
exactly
and get it done. So like it's like a dying. Those guys are a dying breed. These kind of.
But he knows how to talk to people. This is how he built all those relationships. Yeah. It always made me like that guy that he was going to go get the cigar from, like you mentioned his name. Yeah. Like, he'll know. Like I'm like in my mind, I'm like, did he know that one day he's going to shoot his brains out and he's going to go buy a cigar and some strange kid's going to come at? I don't know. Just like that got to me. Like all these people that he crossed paths with in his life, and.
Yeah, even the tailor. Again, he treats people like those people with respect. He has a kind of a respect for these types of people. The woman that's tailoring and measuring, and again, he's not mean to those people.
Nope.
It's very interesting, very conflicted character. So I think that's going to do it for this very special Thanksgiving episode of the 3324 podcast. All I can say is for this one. I have 3 different hoo-ahs. I don't know if you noticed the difference. Hoo-ah. So here's one hoo-ah.
Hoo-ah.
Here's another one.
Hoo-ah.
It's so sad. That's a sad one.
And there's the third one. Each one, like Eric said, each one has a little different nuance.
Yeah.
They each mean something different. It's his own kind of language, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He would kind of inflect them or kind of or bring them up or bring them down. Yeah. So anyway, that's going to do it. Roland DeRucci, thank you so much for joining us, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Hopefully, after this episode, you're going to be heading off for some turkey dinner and some dessert.
Always lots of fun. Always lots of fun. A big ass nap. That's it.
Yeah. This is like, after the meal, it's to the couch.
That's it. That's it.
It's like a beeline. Like once the plate is empty, I go right to the couch. Nick Leshy, happy Thanksgiving.
You too, my friend. And Eric and
Roland. Have yourself a big piece of pumpkin pie with a lot of whipped cream on it.
And I'm going to listen to our favorite side dishes and entrees episode for Thanksgiving because that was a good one.
It was a fun episode. It was a good one. You stuck it to Sean early on with the appetizers.
That was a good scene.
Which I'll never forget. I'm
really glad you picked this movie because whenever I think Thanksgiving movies, I think Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is a great movie. But now this one is like I'm picturing this as my big Thanksgiving movie because it has a lot to be thankful for.
There aren't many.
I don't know if you're going to play with the family though. I don't know if it's going to be like, hey, let's put on this, and get the kids, gather the kids around.
It does feel good at the end though.
Maybe
that's a good feel-good movie.
Stick with March of the Wooden Soldiers or King Kong.
Yeah.
Eric, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Hopefully you're going
Same to you.
Get yourself a little glass of wine after this and sit down with your family and enjoy your Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah, and to you, gentlemen, thank you very much for your thoughts, and of course, the conversation is always great with you fine folks. So yeah, happy to have you.
Yes.
Yep.
And of course, a big happy Thanksgiving to everyone that's listened, will listen, has listened, or never listened. Either way, we're thankful for all of you. We really thank you for the support. And I'm thankful for Eric, for us to kind of coming up with this crazy idea and executing it almost to precision every week. But and of course, to all of our guests, anybody that's ever been on the show, a big thank you as well. We appreciate it. We're so blessed to have such a great group of people that we've known and people that we've met, like Roland, that have come into the fold and just enhance the experience for me personally. Every time we have people on, it's always challenging, fun, exciting. All those things rolled up into one, and Thanksgiving is the best time to express that. So
yeah,
before the I'm a little teary-eyed now.
Yeah. Before the tears come out,
always say it when I can't hug you. You always say stuff when I can't hug you.
I'm going to virtually hug Roland very, very deeply. I'm going to take his hat off gently and hug him and caress the back of his head. What do you got, Roland?
That's all I got. Oh, Woody.
He left him speechless.
I left it open for you.
Pants got a little tighter, my friend. Pants got a little tighter.
There we go.
All right. And there it is.
And we'll leave you with
we got it. That one deserves a hoo-ah. Come on. The best one.
You sharpshooting me, punk? Don't you sharpshoot.
Roland, don't you sharpshoot me, Roland. You sharpshooting me? I'm going to save that one. I'm going to save that one in our bank for other episodes. Anyway, everybody have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Enjoy the holiday season. We'll be back with you next week. So for Roland, for Nick, for Eric, this is Dean asking you, please be kind after you break the wishbone and go ahead and rewind.